Hey, sports card fans, it's John, Wade Boggs fan. Hope you're all doing well. This is my weekly Wednesday video in which I choose my top 5 favorite cards of a particular player. At the end of last week's video, I spun the wheel of names and it landed on Lou Brock. While Lou Brock may not be among the most popular players in the hobby to collect, that doesn't mean that he doesn't have some beautiful cards. So to help me decide which cards to choose for my top 5 favorite, I went with the PSA Basic Set Registry Checklist. That contains 18 cards, starting with his 1962 Topps rookie card and going to his final playing days card, his 1979 Topps card. Now, here's where I would love all of you to participate as well. In the description of this video, I will have a link to the PSA Basic Set Registry Checklist. And from those 18 cards, we'd love to know which are your top 5 favorite Lou Brock cards. And if you could help me out by numbering them 1 through 5, 1 being your most favorite Lou Brock card to 5 being your 5th favorite, or letting me know which order your selections are, it'll help me tabulate the results for next week's video. Now, beyond those 18 cards and your 5 selections, if there are other Lou Brock cards that you really like, let me know as well in the comments, and I'll list them as honorable mentions and report on them in next week's video. So last week's video was on Hank Aaron, and there were a lot of you who replied in the comments letting me know which were your top 5 favorite Hank Aaron cards. I'm really enjoying this interaction with all of you and seeing which cards you choose as your top 5 favorite cards of a player, even if it differs drastically from my top 5 favorite. And I love some of the explanations that you are giving as to why you're choosing specific cards. So again, I encourage you to participate in this video as well and letting me know which are your top 5 favorite Lou Brock cards. So I'm going to start things off with compiling and showing the results of all of your comments from last week's video on Hank Aaron. Then I'll go over my top 5 favorite Lou Brock cards, show off the Lou Brock cards that I have in my collection, and then finish things off with spinning the wheel of names again to see which player will be featured in next week's video. So let's get started. Okay, there were 24 of you who replied in the comments letting me know which were your top 5 Hank Aaron cards. And here are the top 5 voted on cards. Leading the way was his 1954 Topps rookie card, with 19 of you selecting that card among your top 5 favorite. 12 of you selected his 1957 Topps card. And then 8 of you selected his 1955 Bowman card, his 1956 Topps card, and finally his 1961 Topps card. While there was a wide range of votes, there were some cards that did not receive any selections. His 1963, 66, 69, 71, and 75 Topps cards did not get any selections. I was a little surprised that no one selected his 1963 Topps card. I think that is just a gorgeous card and probably would have been in my top 10 favorite Hank Aaron cards, but of course I'm limiting it to my top 5 favorite. Now, in addition to your selections from I think it was 24 cards in his basic set registry set, there were a lot of honorable mentions, 13 in all. We're starting off with his 1954 Johnston cookies, his 1955 Johnston cookies, his 1958 Hires root beer, the 1958 Topps World Series batting foes with Mickey Mantle, his 1959 Home Run Derby card, his 1959 Topps All-Star card, the 1959 Topps Fence Busters with Eddie Matthews, his 1960 Lake to Lake card, his 1962 Topps All-Star card, the 1963 Topps Power Plus card with Ernie Banks, his 1964 Topps Stand-Ups, his 1964 Topps in National League with Willie Mays, and finally, his 1975 Topps Highlights card. So of the top 5 selected cards of Hank Aaron, how did you rank them from 5 to number 1? At the number 5 spot, you had his 1957 Topps card. That was not in my top 5 selection. At number 4 was his 1961 Topps card, another card that I did not have in my top 5. And number 3 was his 1955 Bowman card, which I had at my 4th favorite Hank Aaron card. And number 2 was his 1956 Topps card, again, another card that I did not have in my top 5. And I think to most people's not surprise, his 1954 Topps in general was your favorite Hank Aaron card, as was mine. All right, let's get into the Lou Brock cards again. 18 cards in his PSA Basic Set registry from 1962 to 1979. At number 5, I went with his 1968 Topps card. Just with the burlap border of the 68 Topps set, there's just something about this card, the image of Lou Brock there. It is sort of a staged image of him, swinging the bat, but just his smile there, the uniform, and there's something about, again, that burlap border and the color with the Lou Brock with the black and red, the area there, the circle area with yellow showing his position, and the shortened named for the Cardinals. To me, just is an overall great looking card of Lou Brock. At number 4, I chose his 1964 Topps card. As I've mentioned before, I love the 64 Topps design and how I believe most of the players, Topps sort of took the player image and put it into the general border of the card, gives it that little 3D image. And I just love the Cubs uniform in this case, even though he is most popular being a St. Louis Cardinal. Just love that uniform there with the Cub logo on his sleeve, and that red bottom border with Lou Brock in yellow. Again, just the overall design. Love the image there of Lou Brock. So the 1964 Topps card is my 4th favorite Lou Brock card. At number 3, I chose his 1963 Topps card, another Cubs card, but I just love the overall color combination that Topps chose for the Lou Brock card. Obviously, he's in a Cubs uniform, so you have the blue and red there. The bottom border sort of in a lighter blue, but the circle image is with the background there is red to go along with the Cubs logo there on his cap, and just a really cool portrait image. It is a portrait image, but a great image there of Lou Brock, and I think just the overall color scheme, the image, everything, I just really love his 1963 Topps card. At number 2, I went with his 1976 Topps card. Obviously, Lou Brock is known primarily for his stolen bases, and for his basic Topps cards, I think this is the only one that's sort of an in-action shot showing him on the base path. So I went with, and again, I like the overall design of the 76 Topps set. You have that National League All-Star symbol there in the bottom left-hand corner. The color combination there of the red and green borders down at the banners down at the bottom of the card just makes for a great image of Lou Brock there on a baseball card. And at number 1, I went with his 1965 Topps card. Another card that I just love the overall colors on. You have that sort of beyond the white border of the card, you have that black outline, Lou Brock in yellow contrasting off of the black. You have that card's banner there in red with the little symbol there in red and yellow, cards in white, his uniform, the image there, his smile, just everything to me works for this card and is such a beautiful Lou Brock card. So his 1965 Topps card is my favorite Lou Brock card. All right, I have 9 Lou Brock cards in my collection, and I'm going to show these in sort of chronological order. So the first one is his 1964 Topps card. Again, this was one of my top 5 favorite Lou Brock cards. And here is the back. Now this one here, this is an example where the little cartoon has been scratched off. It's really hard to make out. I'm not even sure what the question is. What was the most positions played by a man in one season, I guess. So I'm not sure what the answer there is. It's really hard to see, but that's an example there of that answer being scratched off the card. I think that was the only year that Topps did something like that on the back of the card, but there's his 64 Topps card. Then I have his 1967. This was a contest win from Mike Baseball Collector. I think it was one of 3 cards that he was giving away as a contest, and I won. And so, yeah, I always remember this card as coming from Mike Baseball Collector. And here is the back. Next, I have his 1973 Topps card. And here's the back of that. Really love the centering on the back. That's one of the things I look for in 73s, even though in general, I'm a little bit, you know, I'll accept some off centering on the back, but there's just something about the 73s that I really look for well-centered backs, because some of them are really, really off center. But there's the 73. Here's his 75 highlights. Oh, let's get that. There we go. Brock steals 118 bases. And there's a description and background of that. Next, I have his 1977 Topps card. I love the, I don't know if this was actually worn for games or whether this is, you know, pre-game warm-ups, but we'll have to know in the comments if you're a Cardinals fan and know if they wore those sort of striped batting helmets in the 77 season. Sort of like the Pirates pill cap caps that they wore, I think, in the late 70s. So maybe that was sort of a trend in the late 70s. And here is the back. Next, I have his 1978 Topps record breaker, most stolen bases lifetime, obviously surpassed by Rickey Henderson. And there is the back there. Then I have his base 78 Topps card. Trying to get that to focus. There we go. And here's the back of that one as well. 2 more here. His last playing days card, his 1979 Topps card. And there is the back of that. As you can see, here's a copy that yeah, it's off center. Wasn't too worried about it. The front is, in this case, is what I was more interested in. And finally, even though this is not on the PSA set registry checklist, his technically final Topps card, it's not a single playing days card, but it's the 1980 Topps highlights from 1979 with Lou Brock and Carl Yastrzemski, highlighting that both of them had their 3,000th hit in the 1979 season. And here is the back. All right, so let's get to the Wheel of Names and see which player will be featured in next week's video. All right, here is the Wheel of Names, and as you can see on the right, here are the remaining players to choose from. So let's spin the wheel and see which player is going to be featured in next week's video. And it's going to be Joe Morgan. This is going to be another fun video as well. Joe Morgan has some great Topps cards in his playing days run. So again, a reminder in the comments of this video, would love to know which are your top 5 favorite Lou Brock cards. And with that, that's all I have for you. So until next time, thanks for watching.